On January 6, 1995, two criminals broke into a bank in Pittsburgh, USA. The robbery took place during the day, but instead of using masks or conventional disguises, the thieves opted for a rather unusual approach to evade security cameras. The two individuals smeared lemonade on their faces. They applied lemon juice to their own skin, believing it would prevent their identification through the bank's internal cameras. The idea was that lemon, which was once used as invisible ink for handwritten letters, would have the same effect on a video circuit. One of the robbers came up with this peculiar idea. They tested it with a Polaroid camera and indeed could not see themselves in the photo. But this was likely due to a problem with the camera or the wrong direction of the lens. The truth is, the robbers were so confident in their intelligence that they never considered the possibility of the plan failing. And of course, it failed. Shortly afterward, they were arrested. However, the situation was not entirely futile. The case drew the attention of David Dunning, a social psychology professor at Cornell University. Dunning realized that the criminals were not just foolish for robbing a bank in such a manner, but also for failing to recognize their own foolishness. He had an insight and understood that ignorance can blind a person to the fact that they lack knowledge. With this realization, he invited his student Dunning-Kruger to conduct joint research. The idea was to explore to what extent a lack of intelligence can prevent a person from recognizing their own ignorance. The study, published in 1999, revealed that people who are incompetent in certain areas face a double problem. Not only do they make wrong choices or reach incorrect conclusions, but they are also unable to recognize these mistakes. They have a false impression that they are heading in the right direction. This phenomenon, in honor of the researchers, was named the Dunning-Kruger effect, a concept you may have heard of. In summary, the effect suggests that a lack of knowledge can lead people to believe they are more competent than they actually are. Interestingly, more than 100 years before this effect was described, Charles Darwin had already observed that ignorance tends to generate more confidence than actual knowledge. This is precisely what happens. There is even a graph that illustrates how the Dunning-Kruger effect impacts learning. The blue axis represents the real knowledge we have about a particular subject, while the orange axis represents our confidence, or how much we think we know about that subject. Initially, a lack of knowledge makes us aware of our ignorance. As we begin to learn something new, our perception that we understand everything about the subject increases rapidly. In an instant, it seems like we know everything, as if we are a genius. However, as we delve deeper into the subject, we start to realize that things are more complicated than we initially thought. Our confidence then drops abruptly. We begin to feel that we know nothing, and this phase of "I know that I know nothing" can be discouraging. By the way, did you know this phrase is often attributed to Socrates, though it is not found directly in ancient Greek texts? Anyway, this is the crucial point where many give up. This realization of our own ignorance can make us want to quit, but it's essential to persevere. Continuing the pursuit of knowledge is what eventually makes everything fall into place. As we keep studying, our knowledge grows steadily and confidence starts to rise proportionally to our learning. To validate the effect, researchers conducted a series of tests. In one of them, volunteers answered questions about logic and grammar and then assessed their own performance. The result was surprising. Those who answered more questions correctly underestimated their abilities, while those who got more answers wrong thought they did well. The tests were repeated in different contexts with athletes, chess players, and even comedians, and the results were consistent. The worse a person's performance, the higher their self-esteem. Want a practical example? If you have a driver's license, consider this. Do you see yourself as a good driver? An American study showed that 80% of people believe they have above-average driving skills, which obviously isn't possible. This discrepancy reveals how the Dunning-Kruger effect can be dangerous. Returning to the graph, it is at the highest point where a newly licensed driver might think they can perform risky maneuvers, or a newly graduated doctor might make serious mistakes, or an inexperienced investor might believe they understand the financial market and lose money. This behavior is typical of those who see themselves as experts without truly understanding the subject. Therefore, it is crucial to recognize that even people with superficial knowledge may have a long way to go to truly understand complex topics. However, it is also important to avoid falling into the opposite extreme, where confidence is too low. This is where imposter syndrome can arise, leading a person to doubt their abilities and abandon opportunities. Don't let this stop you from reaching your goals. You have potential. We all go through this cycle at some point, and overcoming it leads to a blend of confidence and knowledge. However, as we advance and acquire more knowledge, it can be easy to forget that others may not have the same level of understanding, which can create challenges in communication. This is not only a challenge for us. Highly intelligent people often face additional difficulties, such as finding suitable schools or feeling socially excluded. Moreover, they may face pressures and expectations that can be harmful. Studies show that people with high IQs may be more likely to develop psychological disorders. Don't let this discourage you. Intelligence offers many benefits, such as better decision-making and adaptability. Talking to well-informed people is always enriching and reinforces the importance of continuing to learn, accepting that we don't need to know everything all the time. The world is incredibly complex and our understanding is limited. This concept, known as the Polanyi paradox, formulated by philosopher Michael Polanyi, suggests that we know more than we can express in words. It's like knowing the answer to a question, but not being able to explain it. Congratulations, you've just summarized the Polanyi paradox. From sudden ideas to chess moves, our minds don't always fit into words. If we can't define what we create, it shows how knowledge is collective. Globalization has made us dependent on each other. No one can make a pencil alone, as economist Leonard Read said. The production of a pencil involves a vast network of knowledge and resources. This is even more evident with complex technologies. If no one can make a pencil alone, imagine the complexity of creating a computer or an airplane. This shows the limitation of our understanding of the world, which also represents a challenge for artificial intelligence. Teaching a machine to do something we can't explain is tricky. While our human limitations might be an obstacle, recognizing our own ignorance is the first step to learning. And this is what drives us to seek knowledge throughout our lives. Thank you very much and see you next time.